Hey guys, we're on episode 8 now. That is pretty cool. Episode 8. So we moved from the back, straightened out the back, the sides, tried to get the sway and everything corrected because we're laying it into the new frame, which is 90, 90 and a half, 91 degrees, depending on the column, but the same all the way through. Now we've got that superstructure in, we've got the rear end straightened out, we've got the floor rails and the cage built. We're moving to the front, and we put the door hinges on, assembled the doors to the vehicle, checked the door gaps, that kind of thing. Now this episode is moving to the cowl. So we got the doors hung. We're reconstructing the cowl now. There's some frame in behind the sheet metal, some structure that we need to get put together. And from there, then we'll address that bracing and start to put the skin on. This is a good episode. Creative thinking, I think, went into this. Take a look. And well, wrapping up Monday, July, I don't know, 12th or 11th or something, I don't know. Of course, the doors are hung. I think I did a video earlier on that. Doors are hung. Latches will be in next week. Should be somewhere around Monday. Once I get those in, I'll secure them and start working on the gaps. So now I'm finishing out the cowl. Got, just for reference, we'll go to this side. This strap held that piece of stainless. I won't be using that, so I'm pulling it all off. Fortunately, the metal, it's pitted, but I mean, it's old. But I did do one repair on the other side, I'll show you. But the rest of this will get ground off. That was the spare tire holder. That was some sort of a running light apparatus there. And of course the plug for the hole. These got to get done still. So tomorrow I'll jump on that. So that's the fill for the light and then the spare tire. And then I put the piece that I cut out here to put the hinge in, I put back in. Didn't get to that. Like I said, I'll get to that tomorrow. The weld repair on the side, I don't recall where it was now. I think it was right here. But wrap it up Monday. Tuesday's a new day. Finish the cowl. Sheet metal work should be done on the majority of the body. Then it's back to the custom work, fill in all those. And those are so easy that I'm not really worried about just jumping on them. I'll get the latches in, get the doors kind of straightened out, fine-tuned in, and then finish up filling all the holes. I'm going to fill these holes. Still debating on whether I want handles on it or not, so don't know yet. There she is. Here we are again today. And what I did is I got up early this morning and decided to get the new structures made. So this one is now welded in. Get underneath here. He's welded in completely around. That's where the floor goes in. I put at the original locations the 3 weld nuts. It's got a 7-inch plate welded in for the bolting on the cowl or bolting on the fender or chassis mount, whatever was up there. I just stippled my brush in here, but you can see on the outside, and it's bleeding through. Before I make this panel, I put box liner on this to fully seal it up. But the other thing that is buried in the box liner is you can see the outline. So I continuously welded another piece of 14 gauge over the top of this 14 gauge. Those are the reliefs for the trim panel screws, because it was in a similar condition to this side. So rather than cut it out and form it, I cleaned it completely down to bare metal on the outside, and then welded in a V pattern. The top is good. The water collected down in here. Now in here I'll have to make this panel, and when I replace this framing. But what I basically used was angle iron, and I made it, whenever I do a project, it's a right and left side, I do them in pairs. So over here, there's the fish plate that goes on the outside. Just cut it out on the plasma and cleaned it up. There's the two relief holes for the screws. And then this is the other side brace. It's got the 3/4 inch on it, or the 7 gauge 3/16 on it. It's got the weld nuts in it. It's pre-drilled. There's 2 plug welds that go in on the bottom. They were actually body mounts originally, and you can't see them anymore, but I wanted to make sure that there's a piece of 1/4 inch in a much earlier video underneath that this is welded to, and there were 2 plug holes. There were some holes that were in the body originally that I welded through to attach the body to the floor, and the brace. I knew it wouldn't weld to the brace because of the condition of it. I think I've got, yeah. No, that was the 7 gauge on the side, and right there's the piece. So this is where I tried to weld down through to the 1/4 inch, or up, no, down through to the 1/4 inch, and it didn't. It just contaminated as I was trying to do it. Anyway, those 2 holes now are firmly welded to the plug welded to the 1/4 inch plate underneath, and all of this mess is now gone. You can see that this brace carried up and then was welded to that 7 gauge panel or backer. See, this was like that. And the interesting thing is that was not originally 7 gauge. But if it was, very well, maybe it was. But if it was, it's a heck of a lot stronger now than it ever has been. So that 14 gauge, this is 11 gauge angle, so it's beefier. And then I plug welded it to the cowl, leaving the 3 mounting holes available. I don't know what I'm going to do for a front end yet. It'll be custom, but those are in there. Then I'll drill them out. But if I do wind up finding them, I'll have to sand these flush. There was 1 rivet, and then there was no other attachment. I pre-drilled these 2 holes for the plugs so that they're symmetrical on each side. But there you have it. So now I have to go in. This is in pretty decent shape, but I have to go in and clean the shit out of this. The collection of mud and dirt must have got into this area and just took all that out. So I'm gonna cut all this out. Oh, there's that entire brace, and it is a 7 gauge angle. So, and there's I did the similar. I didn't plug this one because I gave up on it. The 1/4 inch is down in there. And I'm assuming that'll just come away too, and I just tacked this on because I knew it had to go. But on to this side now. Anyway, doors are hung. Still have to get to this side of the car, but I figured I'd get all the inner structures so that a guy can finish all this and then go to these when that is cured out, when the box liner coating is cured out. Well, it took the better part of the afternoon. This is about cured here. Nothing. So that worked out well. Box liner on. That's just dirt. Right there's dirt. Anyway, box liner on. Totally reinforced. Other side on. Instead of making the fish plate, after looking at this, I just made this whole section. Then it's one piece. Had to clean underneath here. You can see this here has a ledge for this to go under. So, I had to get in there and grind that all out. But it worked good. Ground all this up and got in and stitched it. Both sides here are welded on the top side and on the other side to make sure that it's strong. Everything's tied in, firewalls pulled back, welded top, welded across here, under here, and then on the other side, I just finished. It's still wet on the box liner, but then it's continuously welded on the inside of the angle iron, and as well as along the top there, between both sides of that, this side and then the other side of that, both sides. So again, got my 3 plugs for the front. I haven't drilled these holes. I'll drill them when the box liner dries. Probably have to clean a little spot off of there, but they weren't weld nuts. They were bolts from the inside through. So still obviously accessible through the triangle, and everything's good to go. But it's been a heck of a day, and I want to take a break now. Boy, I got that on a little heavy. Oof, duh. Oof, duh. I really wish I could just set the camera up on a stand and do this. I'm dumping everything to my Google page and Google Photos, and I'm limited out, so I have to constantly dump to a memory stick. So as I get more into this, I will begin to develop better ways. A microphone, for example, a decent microphone, a decent way of filming, and that kind of stuff. So here's where we are today, working on the side panels. So basically, again, build everything in pairs, one a mirror image of the other. I got one screw in this right here. I've got it fully developed. It will go in. This is fully in, but this is sharper than 90. I have to form that back. Figured I'd screw it up for a quick video. This is supposed to stick out right here. As you can see, we are dead in. I built this on a couple of pieces of 10 gauge and then pressed them in my press to make the form. I just tack welded one piece to here and to the lip underneath, and then tack welded the other piece here and somewhere down here. Just ground off the tacks after I was done pressing, but of course ground them flush with the 10 gauge material so that I could get the offset. But you can see he's touching. There's a little shadow line here, but he'll touch because there's a little shadow line here. I can get my fingernail in. But I've checked it. It's good. Right now I'm trying to push this in and get this formed so I can flush it out here. I might need to do a little shrink on the bottom here before I weld it in. Then I'm just going to cut and butt. I'm cut up to here, right here, and then I'll just cut and butt all the way across, making sure everything lines up. So it's going together spectacular. Got a few more shapes. I got to put this little bend in it,
Put this long bend in it, and then I'm ready to start finishing the project up. It fits. It just fits beautiful. And of course, that's the one side, and that's developed on the truck beyond this stage. This is the other side. Again, the mirror image of the shape. Just a lot of shrinking, a lot of bending over the knee so that it fits properly. Oh, I got that. Still got to remove that. But so that it fits properly onto the body. And both sides are identical. So, working good. I do the other piece and I come over, count my strengths, count my stretches. Then I go over and I copy it into the same location on that panel, and it's what keeps me consistent throughout the project. I don't remember where I put the dies or the presses for the. We'll take a quick peek. This is the setup. But it's basically just two pieces of, right there, just two pieces of material. You can see the tack weld still on the one side. And basically I put a very slight radius on it, just a scab. There's the other tack weld that I cut off. And I put a slight radius on one side of it. Did this exact same thing on the other. I mean, just hit it with a grinder, no big deal. And so then it gives me, as it's rolling over, it gives me a little radius there, and the other piece is sitting on here and a little here. One on either side, spaced it, offset it. I started with 3/16, used a piece of 7 gauge. It made it too wide on a tester. And then I went back and did it again on a with some 10 gauge, and it came in perfect. So. But always do a tester if you don't know what you're going to do. And then, of course, it sights perfectly. The line's right up because I used a straight edge. And then I scribe. You can see the scribe mark. Well, you can't see the scribe mark, but there it is. And I followed the scribe mark to the inside of the radius all the way down. Here we go. Starting to be fun now. Good day. Friday. As Bad Chad would say, it's Friday. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway. All on. All the holes filled. Just went over it with 36 grit. Went over it with 36 grit. Get to this side. Same thing. Oh, I'm marking the holes. 7 holes. Pinholes that I want to fill. A little bit over. And this area here sunk in. Sunk in when I welded in the hinge. So I left this shape. I concentrated on this shape. There's going to need to be some fill here. But I'm not scared of that at all. Anyway, all patches in. Welded, spot welded, tack welded, spot welded to this beam. It's got the step in them. A little bit of hammering I got to do in there. Just notice, just a little tap, 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 tap. Because he's got a... It's the beauty of taking the videos. You can see the shadow line right there. Anyway, that's just a grind mark from the bottom because I didn't get the grinder all the way up into there. That one turned out. If you remember, I under bent this. I was one material thickness too far that way, but this lined up wonderful. And this is it's a relatively complex shape. I had it formed to this. But you're off, if you're off 60 thousandths, you're off 60 thousandths. Everything else sights good. It looks good. It feels really, really good. But conversely, built from this direction on this side, not that direction. The other side I built the same way, but very conscious of the shape, clamping, making sure my gap is correct down here, and then once you know it, I'm a material thickness out. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to go from there to here, there to here, to get a perfectly straight line. It starts to drift right into the radius here. So I got to adjust where you see the metal in the two Sharpie lines. I'm going to have to build that out. That really sucks. That really, really sucks. But that kind of shit happens. The shape follows really, really well. All the way around, both sides. Really, really, really well. Everything turned out the way I intended it to. Kind of a neat little bulge there. There's a dent there and there. That neat little bulge. Anyway, good. Good, good, good. Very happy with it, very proud of it. My door latches came. So I can start to work on those. I am going to 1 or 2 holes in here. These are going to get beefed up, that I'm going to work on getting them powder coated. All 4 of them powder coated, but I want to get these on, the latches in, and then sandblast. Start in one spot, blast probably the interior first, get it all sandblasted, get some epoxy primer on. My epoxy primer came. I got the dinosaur primer. UPS. Haven't opened the package yet, but I'm not going to open it here because I don't know. I can't. I've never used the dinosaur. It is a 2-part epoxy sealer, primer sealer. It is not a surfacer. It's sealing up the metal, because once I get this thing sandblasted, it'll flash rust faster than this bare metal. This bare metal is turning to flash rust. So I need to get on it. I've got a few more spots to fix up, and then epoxy prime and go from there. I still have all these to do. This is where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed. On the front post, I filled the bottom hinge hole. I have the top hinge hole to fill. And what did I do with the center hinge hole? Oh yeah, I filled him, but I gotta finish that out yet. That's just a bead of weld, because I welded the hinge in there and took advantage of that pocket. In the back, then, all the framing needs to be covered. I've collected up the individual items that I need to make. Of course, I won't be doing the hinge pockets in them, but I need to make right and lefts of everything. So we got the doors, tops of the doors. I believe those are the driver's doors. That's the rear wheel arch. And these are the 2 rear vertical backs. But those will be relatively simple to make, especially since I don't have to do any step bending into these. Just have to form them around. I don't know what I'm going to do on this side, if I'm just going to seam weld it. This is the nails. This is the side that was flanged and nailed. I don't know if I'll seam weld it. I don't know what I'll do, but they'll be permanently fastened in any regard. So it looks like the only ones I don't have, because these are the same length, the only ones I don't have are the tops of the rear doors. Well, either the tops of the rear doors or the tops of the front doors. I don't know which one of these goes where. So, but that's not a big deal. I've got a profile. I can make a paper pattern. I can get them all in. So there you have it. There's today's news.